Guys, let's do a little wild robot today. It's been a while since we've read last, so I apologize. We're on chapter 38, and this is titled The New Friendship. Chit Chat. I want to say Chit Chat's a squirrel, but I can't remember. It's been a couple days. Chit Chat wasn't speechless for long. She's already been alive for a whole 12 and a half weeks, and she wanted to tell Bright Bill about every exciting thing and every boring thing that had ever happened to her. Now I remember it is the squirrel. And so, as the new friends played and explored and ate together, the squirrel shared many stories. I was born on the other side of the hill, and last week I decided I was ready to build my very first dray, which is what you call a squirrel's nest. And now I live in a tree with a weird bump in its trunk, she said, while the two of them kicked pebbles into the pond. One time, a weasel chased me all the way up to the treetops until I missed a branch, and then I fell all the way down, and I crashed into a bush, and then I walked all away, all wobbly, and he never bothered me again. She said this while the two of them crawled through a hollow log. Ooh, gross! I saw you eat that ant one time. I ate a gnat by accident, and I didn't like it. I mostly eat acorns and bark and tree buds, and sometimes I eat those yummy berries that grow in your garden. She said this while the two of them were taking a snack break. But Chit Chat was as good as a listener as she was a talker. And whenever it was Bright Bill's turn to speak, she'd keep quiet and hang on every word. Do you know who enjoyed their conversations the most of all? It was the robot Roz. The protective mother was never far away, and she felt something like amusement at the silly conversations that she overheard, and she felt something like happiness that her son had such a good friend. That was a quick chapter. The next one's called The First Flight, and we're on chapter 39. Oh, I bet he's getting ready to fly. Bright Bill spent his entire life by the pond, and he was becoming very curious of what lay ahead in his neighborhood. So one day his mother said to him, "Let's go for a walk, and I will show you more water than you could ever imagine possible." So Roz placed the gosling on her flat shoulder, and the two of them set off across the island. They marched out of the forest, and they crossed the great meadow, and they climbed uphill before they were on the top of the island's western ridge. Before them was a grassy slope that descended all the way to the dark, choppy waves that surrounded the island. "Wow, that's a lot of water," said the wide-eyed gosling. "I'm a good swimmer, but I'm not good enough to swim across that pond." "That is not a pond," said the robot. "That is an ocean." Now, I doubt any bird could swim across an ocean. Waves rolled in on the horizon, and seagulls circled above the shore. A steady breeze blew up the slope, and Bright Bill's yellow fluff had recently changed over the coat of silky brown feathers, and he spread his feathery wings into the breeze, and then... "Mama, look!" For the briefest of moments, the wind lifted Bright Bill off of the ground, and then he quickly tiptoed backwards, and then he thumped onto the soft grass. "I was flying," he squeaked. "That was not flying," said Roz, looking back in her upside-down sun. "Well, I was almost flying. I'm going to try it again." "I have observed many birds in flight," said Roz. "Sometimes they flap their wings quickly, and over times they fly without flapping at all. They spread their wings, and they soar on the wind." "What is soaring?" said Bright Bill. "So I was soaring?" said Bright Bill. Almost. There, look at that soaring seagull. It seems like she's not doing anything, but if you look closer, you'll notice that she's making small adjustment with her wings and her tail. I think she's trying to adjust her wings into the wind like this." Bright Bill hopped onto a rock and then opened his wings wide. "And the wind is pushing me backwards." "Change the angle of your wings," said his mother. "Let's see what happens when you slice through the air." Here he goes. Bright Bill slowly angled his wings downward, and the more he turned them, the less the wind pushed him backwards. And just as his wings leveled off, "Mama, look!" he squeaked. And as his feet left the ground, "I'm soaring, I'm soaring." He hovered for a second, rising a little higher than before, and then he sailed backwards into the soft grass again. The gosling kept hopping onto the rock and then kept riding the wind and then kept tumbling in the grass until he started to find his wings. With an attempt that floated a little higher and a little longer, and finally Brightbill really did soar. He lifted high into the air, and then he hung there floating. He turned his wings down, and he felt himself drop, and he wiggled his tail feathers, and then he felt himself veering back and forth. "I am a natural," he squeaked. "You're doing so well," said Roz, "but you need to keep practicing." And so they spent the entire afternoon practicing on the ridge. Once Brightbill was comfortable soaring, he tried flapping his wings. He tried high in the air, and he flapped in a straight line. He flapped around and around in circles. A big smile appeared on the gosling's face. Clearly, Brightbill was designed to fly. "I'm flying, Mama. I'm really flying." "You are flying," said the robot, "and you're doing very good." Brightbill was now a real flyer, but all that flying had worn him out, so he lowered himself towards the ground, and he tumbled into the grass one last time. His landing still needed some work. Roz placed Brightbill on her shoulder, and then headed back to the nest. "I can't believe it. I can fly now, Mama," said Brightbill in his sleepy voice. I just wish you could fly with me." And then the gosling words were repeated by his quiet, steady breathing. Now the train is coming, so I'm going to take a break for a minute, and then I'll pick up on the next chapter, chapter 40, called The Ship.